Flexing that ankle.
Oh, Lee, this late in the game, you do not want to see.
This latest injury to Caitlin Clark has fans not just concerned, they're furious. And it's not just another minor knock, it's her second setback of the season. And depending on how serious it is, she could be out for a while. But what's really lighting a fire under Fever fans? The fact that this never should have happened in the first place.
Stephanie White has now got questions to answer.
This isn't just about one injury. It's the result of a season-long build-up. A combination of poor decisions from the Fever coaching staff, questionable officiating, and overly aggressive opponents has brought Caitlin Clark to this point. And now, it's not just her health that's in question, it's her future. And with it, the future of the entire WNBA. We've already seen what happens when Clark isn't on the floor. The energy disappears, the ratings drop, and ticket sales take a nosedive. Yet despite everything she means to this league, Clark isn't getting the protection she deserves. Not on the court, not in the strategy, and not from the very people who should know better. Fans are now turning their frustration toward head coach Stephanie White, and for good reason. Missed opportunities, mismanagement, and poor decisions have all added up to what might become one of the biggest failures in sports history. Before we break it all down, hit that like button and drop a heart in the comments to wish Caitlin a speedy recovery, because if the WNBA didn't learn from her last absence, they're about to choke on an even bigger slice of humble pie.
Boston hands it off as Clark's back in. She goes down. And midcourt and flexing that ankle.
Oh, Lee, this late in the game, you do not.
Caitlin Clark appeared to suffer a groin injury during the matchup against the Storm, and now she's officially sidelined with no clear timeline for her return. Head coach Stephanie White has reportedly been checking in with her daily, keeping close tabs on her condition.
Caitlin, when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment.
Fans are starting to lose trust in anything Stephanie White says during press conferences. Her answers just aren't adding up anymore. As for Dana, reports say she requested to sit out, especially since she wasn't even included in the team's official daily rotation.
How is she doing? Is there any timeline for her return?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing well. Again, no timeline. I think it's day to day, and for us to just make sure that we're continuing to be supportive of the.
There's growing support for the idea that Caitlin Clark should take extended time off to recover, even if the injury seems minor. Not because fans want her off the court, but because the warning signs are becoming impossible to ignore. These injuries aren't random anymore. There's a clear pattern, and none of them have truly healed before the next one hits.
Like, it's one of two things. It's either it's groin tightness and she'll be back for the Commissioner's Cup game. She's probably going to miss these next two games. Or it's a groin strain. She's out for the All-Star game. Like, it's one of those two, and there's no way.
Many fans aren't buying the idea that Caitlin's injury happened on a single freak play. The growing belief? She's been pushing through pain for weeks, and the game against the Storm might have been the breaking point. And honestly, the evidence backs it up. Ever since that rough matchup with Connecticut where she took a beating, something's been off. She's shooting just 1 for 23 from deep over the last few games. Not just a cold streak, but a red flag waving loud and clear.
But I think we're getting into territory now where it is not, I don't think it's a good idea to just chance it. I don't think it's a good idea to put pressure on yourself to perform when obviously these are all left leg. These are all in the same leg area. So there's definitely something going on around.
And this is exactly why fans, and especially Stephanie White, are furious with the Fever. Because if Caitlin really has been playing hurt all along, it means they rushed her back far too soon.
If you guys did not see, in this game right here, against the New York Liberty, she's doesn't have anything strapped up, and people are saying her quad was strapped up against Connecticut Sun. That is a very high strapping up for.
The truth is, when one part of your body isn't 100%, the rest starts picking up the slack, and that's how new injuries start piling up. That's exactly why fans were alarmed when Caitlin was spotted wearing that thick wrap around her leg after returning to the court. To many, it was a clear sign she wasn't ready to be back. Now let's rewind to that Storm matchup, because that's the game that has fans absolutely livid with Stephanie White.
You guys rushed her back. And within rushing her back, she re-injured that same quad. And then you rushed her back again. And then within rushing her back, she was forced to put pressure and put stress on different areas surrounding that quad. That leads us to our most recent groin injury.
When you realize Caitlin Clark was subbed back in with just 8 seconds left on the clock, it's hard not to question Stephanie White's decision making. At some point, it's no longer about being tough, it's about smart risk management. And right now, a lot of fans think the Fever and their coach completely missed the mark. Sure, maybe Caitlin wanted back in, maybe she was trying to shake off a cold streak, but with the game already decided and just seconds left, it was the coach's responsibility to protect her, especially a player as valuable as Clark.
Caitlin Clark clearly not looking like herself. The Indiana Fever has the game put away, yet we still put her back in the game at 45 seconds left. Caitlin Clark dealing with an injury, not looking like herself. The game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in with 45 seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing.
And this is where the concern really starts to build, because it's becoming increasingly clear that Caitlin Clark isn't being handled the way a player of her caliber should be. Her competitive fire pushes her to stay on the floor, to fight through pain, and to be there for her team no matter what. She knows the spotlight isn't just on her from Indiana, it's on her from the entire league.
I wonder if she's playing through a little more pain than she should. I mean, look what happened to Tyrese Halliburton in the NBA Finals game when he tore his Achilles heel. He had also mentioned having some pain there, and this was like the pinnacle of his career, so he attempted to play through that, and at the very end, he went down.
And she's carrying that pressure quietly, without complaint. That's exactly the issue. When you've got someone who refuses to sit, who feels responsible for not just her team, but for the face of the WNBA, it becomes dangerous. If she keeps pushing through injury, it might not just cost her a game, it could cost her something far more serious.
There's something going on. Is it the nagging quad injury? But it's something to do with the lower half of her body. It is a groin injury. Now we've got an idea of why she's struggling from long range, where it requires, some real push on three-point shots, especially the kind that she takes. And there's nothing worse than a groin injury. It will nag the shit out of you. Trust me, I've had...
And that's what makes this situation even more alarming. Just a year ago, the idea of Caitlin Clark missing significant playing time would have sounded impossible. She was known for her durability at Iowa, showing up game after game, no matter what. But fast forward to now, and she's already sat out nearly half the season. All of it tied to what looks like an ongoing issue with the same leg. An issue that's clearly impacting her game and could continue to haunt her for the rest of the season, or even longer if it's not properly addressed.
The thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. And with women as well, we are more prone to knee injuries even than the men because of the angle that our hips go to our knees. So the last thing you want is her compensating or her groin not firing properly, and she goes to cut to the side and then all of a sudden something blows in her knee. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it. She has such a long career.
We've seen it time and time again. Courtney Vandersloot, Kelsey Plum, Cameron Brink, and Azzi Fudd. The list of elite female athletes sidelined by devastating knee injuries just keeps growing. An ACL tear isn't just a temporary setback. It can end a season, derail a career, and leave a lasting mark on the league. Now imagine the worst case scenario. Caitlin Clark, already playing on a clearly compromised leg, suffers a full ACL tear in garbage time during that game against the Storm. That wouldn't just be heartbreaking for her, it would go down as one of the biggest strategic disasters in WNBA history. We're talking about a moment that could undo an entire decade of progress. All that momentum, the surge in new fans, the media buzz, the record-smashing viewership, it could disappear overnight. And that's not an exaggeration, because the cold reality is this: no player in the history of the WNBA has carried more weight on their shoulders than Caitlin Clark does right now. And if you think this only affects her or the Fever, just wait. This ripple effect will impact other players in ways we'll break down shortly. But let's be clear, this mess isn't just on Indiana. Analysts and fans alike are now pointing fingers at the league itself. Why? Because the officiating has been flat out embarrassing, and it's been a huge part of the problem.
They just kept shoving Caitlin. They're like, well, they can't just keep calling fouls. I'm like, they're literally just running around hacking her. The referees have made it like a point that this is how you beat the Fever. You hack them. You don't even, it's not being physical, you just hack them. Because the referees are going to allow them be hacked.
It's no shock that the Fever have been on the receiving end of some rough treatment this season, but nowhere is that more obvious than in how Caitlin Clark has been handled. Fans have been sounding the alarm for weeks, but the matchup against the Sun, that was the tipping point, because it wasn't just the now infamous eye poke or the blatant body check that had fans furious. It was the buildup, the mounting tension, the missed calls, and the constant physicality that led to that explosive moment.
This is JC Sheldon right here with an entire handful of Caitlin Clark's shoulder and bicep, and she's twisting it. Okay? I mean, this is wild. Here's the zoomed out look, the snapshot. I mean, this league does not have control of its players.
Sure, we can debate the missed calls on Caitlin Clark and the Fever, but the truth runs deeper. This kind of physical play isn't just an isolated issue. It's woven into the fabric of the WNBA itself. And it's not just Indiana feeling the impact, it's the entire league. When coaches start building their entire strategy around rough physical play, just because the league refuses to enforce its own rule book, that's not just bad basketball, that's dangerous. And it's not just Caitlin Clark feeling the effects. Players like Jade Melbourne are paying the price too. No exaggeration, during the writing of this very script, Melbourne literally lost a tooth after catching a reckless elbow. This isn't a fluke, it's a pattern, one that's been quietly building for years, but now it's putting the league's biggest star at risk. And here's where things get even more serious. Caitlin Clark didn't just bulk up in the offseason for fun. That muscle gain, it was a survival tactic. She knew what was coming. She'd already taken a beating last season, and the message was loud and clear. If you want to make it in this league, you'd better armor up. But here's the problem. Adding that kind of muscle in a short time, especially in the legs and core, can disrupt your biomechanics. Your stride changes, your lift on jump shot shifts, and worst of all, your injury risk skyrockets if your body hasn't fully adjusted. So let's say it plainly. If the league had just told its referees to do their jobs, Caitlin wouldn't have had to transform herself into a linebacker just to survive. And maybe, just maybe, if the WNBA didn't glamorize physicality like it's part of the brand, we wouldn't be sitting here yet again holding our breath over the next Caitlin Clark injury scare.
Told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter whistle and a little bit more freedom of movement.
Let's make one thing crystal clear. No one's saying Caitlin Clark should be wrapped in bubble wrap. Physical play is part of the game. That's basketball, that's sports. But there's a clear line between playing hard and flat out ignoring blatant fouls or turning a blind eye to reckless contact. Fans aren't asking for favoritism, they're asking for fairness. They're calling for the league to simply uphold its own rules. It starts with the refs blowing the whistle when it matters. From there, it's up to the league to back it up, call out the bad actors, suspend repeat offenders, and draw a clear line on what's acceptable. But it's also about something even more basic: respect. Respect for the player who isn't just growing the game, but carrying it on her shoulders. Like it or not, Caitlin Clark is fueling the league's momentum and putting money in everyone's pockets. That's not opinion, that's reality. And yet, here we are, still pretending everything's fine while ignoring the obvious. If things don't change soon, the consequences are going to be brutal. Look around the sports world. In the NBA or NHL, stars are protected, not pampered, not coddled, protected. Because when your biggest draw gets hurt, the entire product suffers. And right now, Caitlin Clark is the rising tide lifting the entire WNBA. It's time the league acted like it.
It does make me wonder if a player like SGA can get all these fouls called, maybe the refs should call them similarly for Caitlin. Because if the players defending Clark know that they're going to get a whistle every time they hand check her or cover her physically, they will probably do it a lot less. And I get it, you're trying to neutralize this player, but you know, we've entered the realm of player safety here, and Caitlin Clark, who has now gone out for a third time, so I think that this needs to be reassessed.
When Caitlin Clark isn't on the court, everything just stalls. Ratings dive, fan engagement flatlines, and the energy around the WNBA takes a noticeable dip. But the moment she's back, the numbers spike, the conversation reignites, and the league feels alive again. It's not speculation anymore. It's a proven trend. The Caitlin Clark effect is real, and the data backs it up.
And it's also a huge blow to the WNBA. Whether some fans like it or not, it was proven the last time that she was out with injury that the WNBA does better when she is on the court. The WNBA ratings across the league dropped by over 50% when Caitlin Clark was out with injury, and this is obviously such a crucial time and a crucial year for the league because they go into CBA negotiations at the end of the year.
When Caitlin Clark takes the floor, people show up in the stands and in front of their screens. Her return against the Liberty wasn't just a feel-good moment, it was a ratings explosion. The game drew 2.2 million average viewers and peaked at nearly 2.9 million, placing it among the most watched in WNBA history. But now, as viewership continues to slide, the warning lights are flashing. If Caitlin misses the Commissioner's Cup final, a key showcase meant to boost league revenue and hype, the fallout could be massive. And if she's absent from the All-Star game, that's a ratings catastrophe waiting to happen. For the players, this isn't just about clout, it's about cold, hard cash. One missed appearance could mean millions lost in bonuses, ad deals, merch sales, and future opportunities. This goes beyond Indiana. The entire league is rolling the dice on their biggest asset, and the fans are watching it all unfold.
Nerve, the second-year players clearing out that side of the floor, shooting on Stewie, and then watch the reaction with one another. Stewie's laughing, Caitlin knows it's ridiculous. Just out there having a good time.
If WNBA players think they still have bargaining power after a second Caitlin Clark setback, they're fooling themselves. The truth is, team owners aren't budging because they've seen the numbers. Caitlin Clark is the engine behind it all. The ratings, the merchandise sales, the non-stop media coverage, it all drops off the cliff when she's not on the court. Her first injury already shifted the power dynamic, and yet somehow many players still haven't grasped what fans already know. The league moves when Caitlin does. Without her, the momentum stalls. With her, everything ignites.
I need to get in the field.
You need to come to the
I
meeting.
gotta get in the meetings because I'm hearing like, yeah, they don't give us, if y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sitting out.
That's a possibility, for real.
And that's what makes this situation even more alarming, because just a year ago, the idea of Caitlin Clark missing significant time felt impossible. Her toughness at Iowa was legendary. She never sat out, always showed up, but now she's already missed nearly half the season. And the worst part, it all seems tied to a lingering issue with the same leg, one that's clearly slowing her down and, if not properly addressed, could shadow her performance for the rest of the season, or even longer.
This groin injury and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. You know, I stay in my lane and let our
Who gives a shit how she responds to treatment? Keep her out for a week. Keep her out for a week or two. Let's make sure she's healthy. 110%, 150%.
Right now, the trust is broken, and while it may sound polite to simply ask referees to cut back on the cheap shots or to quietly suggest that Caitlin Clark deserves better protection, here's the real question, even for the critics. Do you really want a league without her? Because a league that allows its biggest star to be targeted night after night, and a team that stands by as she plays through visible pain, isn't just letting Caitlin down, it's putting the entire future of women's basketball at risk. Thanks for sticking around. If you're still watching, drop a basketball in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to WNBA Hubs. More to come.